Devlin, Untamed.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
The Platform.
iOS, it's only sport. Martin Devlin, Lachlan War. Welcome to the podcast, people. 3 massive stories to talk about today. The 3 biggest noise makers in New Zealand sport: the Olympics, the All Blacks, the Warriors, and probably in that order, Lisa Carrington, Queen of Paris, 3 gold medals, 8 in total, the same as Usain Bolt. There's only 8 other human beings in the world that have more gold medals than Lisa Carrington has. It's just an extraordinary story, isn't it? On the program today, Gordon Walker, her coach, who has been with her for 14 years, right at the very beginning of this Olympic medal-winning cycle. The All Blacks raking over a D-grade performance versus Argentina. That's right, a D, it's a fail. Every loss is a fail. Chris Jones out of England. I always love to get an overseas perspective on this, somebody who doesn't have that blind eye that us All Black fans have. We were okay against England. Yeah, kind of improved in that second test, but nothing overwhelming, nothing that said, hey, this All Black side is now the best team in the world. And then we go and play Argentina, and our defence concedes 38 points and 4 tries, and we beat them 44-6 in the semi-final, people, and that was in October last year in Paris, and they were lucky to get 6. What has gone wrong? Why have we gone backwards? Have we gone backwards? How far backwards have we gone? And the Warriors, once again, another close loss, another if only, another match which would have and could have been won, but wasn't. It's the tale of the season, isn't it? 8 wins out of 21. The Warriors, the only currency that really counts is what's in that win column, and 8 out of 21, just not good enough. So, 3 big sporting thingies to debate, remonstrate, pontificate, castigate, but ultimately celebrate. Because, damn, these Olympic Games. Wow, New Zealand. Tablets in hand, I say gather my flock. It is time for a sermon. Let's just absolutely loll in our Olympic excellence. Let's go to the mountaintop.
We live in an amazing, amazing world, and it's wasted on the crappiest generation of just spoiled idiots.
Cock-a-doodle-doo, New Zealand. 10 gold medals, 20 in total. Our best ever haul from any Olympic Games. Does it make you feel good? Because it's meant to. That's the whole point of sport and this particular event. National pride. Feel-good factor. This is why we plough so many hundreds of millions of dollars into Sport New Zealand. Not to pay all those academics and sports scientists and fat cat administrators. It's to invest in our athletes that train and compete like professionals in sports that aren't truly professional. Athletes that compete at World Championships, Com Games and Olympic Games. The Olympics are the biggest event on the planet. There is nothing else that gathers over 200 countries all together at the same time in one spot. Nothing that comes close. And sport is what makes it happen. The competition, the celebration. Every country involved wants to win. They want their athletes to showcase themselves in front of the world, to show how great they are by virtue of how they perform across those 2 weeks. For some, it's winning 1 or 2 medals. For some, it's winning 1 medal. For example, Fiji winning 7's gold in Rio and Tokyo, what it did to that country. Some, like China and the USA, it's as much geopolitical as it is sporting prowess, the posturing and the showboating as a result. Our ideologies are superior, our political presence is more important, all feeding off athletic performance. I'm old enough to have been around and remember Olympic Games as far back as 1972. That one wasn't on the TV. Listen to the 8s winning gold in the rowing on the radio. From 1976, it's been on TV. And watching us, New Zealand, as a New Zealander, win gold medals or any medal has also been thrilling. I find it exhilarating. I find it's something that fills me full of pride, national pride. Look at us. Look at us. Look at little old New Zealand. That's us. That's us out there. That's me out there. I'm from there. That's my country. And I know it's only sport. But on days like this, I hope you get a similar feeling like I do. I hope you're proud of what our athletes have achieved. I hope it takes your mind away from whatever else is being thrown at you in life. For this moment on this day, enjoy it. Enjoy the glory, because it is reflected glory, because we help fund it and we help pay for it. I'm hoping you do. I'm hoping that it makes you feel good, because it's us. It's New Zealand winning on the world stage. And even if it's just for today, it should.
Devlin.
What do you want? We want information. Information. You won't get it.
The Platform.
headlines, Lachlan.
Yes, the Olympic Games have come to an end. Done and dusted. New Zealand still had time, though, to squeeze in 2 more medals on the final day in Paris. Track cyclist Elise Andrews claiming victory in the women's sprint, her second gold of the Games. Ali Wollaston took out bronze in the women's omnium. That gave New Zealand 10 gold medals, 20 medals in total. Officially, our best ever Olympic Games. Our previous best gold medal mark was 8 in Los Angeles in 1984. And the mark of 20 total medals is our equal best along with the 2020 Tokyo Olympics in terms of the overall Olympic table. The United States and China finished equal on 40 golds, by the way. Double the next best nation, which was Japan, who had 20. They finished in third. But the United States had 126 medals to China's 91, which means they finished top. Australia, fourth, 18 golds, 53 in total. France were fifth. And there's New Zealand sitting in 11th, 10 golds. One of 11 countries that finished double digits in terms of gold medals at the Olympic Games. It's pretty good. Ahead of Canada, Hungary, Spain, Sweden, Norway, Ireland, Brazil. Pretty damn good. The closing ceremony in Paris took place and featured a couple of celebrities, including Tom Cruise and Billie Eilish. More humorously, the lights went out in the stadium and an outline of the world, the globe, featured on a stage that I think lowered down from the sky or something weird. And this map didn't have New Zealand on it. It's another world map that didn't have New Zealand. Like we win 10 golds, we get 20 medals, and we don't even feature on a world map at the Olympic Games closing ceremony. How funny is that? I think it's hilarious. Quick update, quick recap of the NRL yesterday. 2 games on to round out the weekend. Warriors fans, it's official. The season is done. You're not making the top 8 now. Not that you ever were prior to yesterday, but you're definitely not now. 34-32 the final score, losing to the Dolphins at Suncorp Stadium in Brisbane. Golden point loss in the end as well. The Knights then beating the West Tigers 34-18 to round out the round. In terms of the table, the Warriors are 14th. Look, they're 5 points off the top 8. And with 3 games to play and a bye, I think you could still, by maths, make it, but apparently not. Articles are saying that the season's done officially. But the Warriors are in 14th. In terms of the top 8, it goes Storm, Panthers, Roosters, Sharks, Bulldogs, Sea Eagles, Cowboys, Dolphins, Dragons, Knights, Raiders and Broncos, the next 4 on the outside looking in. For the time being, Martin, that's what's making news.
Devlin.
Oh my goodness me!
The platform.
Lisa Carrington, 3 gold medals. Just another extraordinary performance from the 35-year-old. 31 gold medals in total from Olympic Games and World Champs. It's just amazing. Every time you look at the accomplishments, the achievements, I'm just wowed out by the Queen of Paris about what Lisa has been able to achieve. And side by side with her throughout this whole journey is a guy called Gordon Walker. He's a very softly spoken bloke. He doesn't get a lot of media attention. He likes being away from the limelight. He likes the limelight being on his athletes. What is that relationship like? What exactly does he do? I mean, is he a technical coach? Is he more motivation and inspiration these days? Checks and balances? Do they ever argue? Do they ever fight? Is she going to go on to 2028 in LA? Is he going to be with her if that happens? And what say somebody comes along and dumps a huge bucket of money in front of him and says, Gordon, you've done this for her. Come to China, come to the United States, come to wherever else and do it with us. Would he jump? Gordon Walker. What is your role exactly? Are you the technician? You've taught her how to paddle, exactly right, or is it just as much mental, or is it a balance between those two, or has it changed over the last 14 years to favour one of those two, or add something else to it, Gordon, that I'm missing?
Well, I mean, kayaking is a really technical sport, and kayaking is actually a really coachable sport. So, I mean, I've been involved in a lot of sports over the years, but I find that kayaking is a sport that is really, it's a really coachable sport, and you really need to make sure. I mean, it would be hard to be, not impossible, but it'd be hard to be a world-class kayaker without a coach. So from that perspective, it's a really enjoyable sport to coach because there's so much opportunity, and there's so many different things in areas in which we would say try and tackle performance. And there might be kind of, if you generalize, it might be, say, the technical and tactical side, and then the more emotional and psychological side, and coaching is really just the art, is the balance between those two things. Like, when is it time to be a bit more technical, and then when is it time to be a bit more understanding of the person. I mean, at the same all the time, it's about understanding the person, trying to help a person grow, and sport is, the vehicle for growth. So yeah, it really is just a balance of all of those things: the technical aspects, the physiological aspects, strength, the kind of big picture mental aspects, and then the pressure moments aspects. So yeah, it's all of those things, and depending on where we are at in the cycle in the day, you'd be leaning on a little bit more or one of those, on that particular day.
I've got a couple more questions, if that's okay. You've been so generous with your time, but look, I mean, the audience is just loving this. I mean, the chance to actually sit down and talk with you at length about some of these things. Is that okay?
Yeah, go for it. No problem, mate. No problem.
The three different disciplines, a K1 500, the K2 500, the K4 500. Just by saying that, okay, to somebody who doesn't know, you think, well, it's the same distance, and all you're doing is adding people to your kayak. But how difficult is that? When to do it by yourself, to do it with somebody else, to do it with three other people in the boat.
Yeah, I mean, to a degree, much more difficult than I originally anticipated. It's actually a really hard thing. Like, I think the single coaching the K1 is one thing. Like, it's a very different thing. It's very much related to your. I mean, I'm generalizing now, but your physical capabilities and your ability to perform under pressure on your own are really important. Like, you're not going to win if you're just not physically capable enough. It's a bit like if you're watching the weightlifting, you either can or can't lift that weight. The K1 is very much about, your own physiology and then your ability to go out there on your own. Some people are good at that, some people aren't. But when you put two people in a boat, it then becomes a very interesting dynamic. It's a bit like a rowing pair, and they're not often necessarily the two best rowers, but it's just the way in which they partner up, and there's a little bit of a chemistry with when you get to a pair, two people, and how their bodies move, because there's only two variables that can be at play at any one time. So that's the sort of dynamic there. And then when you get a K4, then now you're entering into another equation there, where there's this sort of the kind of the connection and the chemistry that a group of people can have together, and then the roles that each of them have within the physical performance. So some people might be a bit faster, some people might have a bit more endurance, and some people need to be a bit more technical. And so when you get into the K4, by the time you get to that, it's so different to the K1. But obviously the biggest obvious difference is that the K4 is a full team equation, and I think that was the area where we managed to make huge inroads with our team. Was we've just spent so much time working on team and teamwork and connection, and how to kind of understand performance as it and try and treat it like a completely different sport. The same way as you might think like 15s and 7s is they're both rugby, but you can't just take a guy out of the All Blacks and put him into the 7s and vice versa. Like they probably could do it, but it's not you can't just rip it out straight away. So I don't know if that helps explain it, but they're related, but at the same time, to perform in all of them at the same time in one Olympics it takes an incredible amount of work to be able to kind of build that repertoire of skills to deliver.
Two questions, and I'll leave you alone, Gordon, and thank you so much for your time. The reflected glory kind of thing, because Lisa has the medals around her neck. You don't. You get everything else but that. So I don't really know what my question is. Do you know what I'm trying to get at, though? What does Gordon get out of it? Why isn't there a medal for you?
Well, I mean, I think that's one of the things that you kind of like, once again, you kind of earlier in the interview talking about kind of like how do you see yourself as a coach, and what's your role as a coach, and what is, there's kind of like in social psychology, there's a thing called exchange theory. So what's exchanged here, what's the deal that's done? So obviously she gets the medals, and what do I get, kind of thing. That's, so for me, the exchange, it happens along the way. So like when we obviously won the world champs last year, and which was like an absolutely incredible experience winning the K4. And once we'd crossed the line, and it was an eruption of emotions because it was such a huge achievement by the team. But the biggest sort of, or the thing that I valued the most by far was the work that we did together as a unit and the journey that we went on. So for me, and I think for the team, it's in the same way. The medal, they get the medal, but the medal, I feel is an expression of the work that you've done. And a lot of people put a lot of work in and they don't get a medal, and it's a really unfortunate thing about the Olympics is it's so brutal that everyone works so hard, but very few people come away with something. But I feel that the medal is just an expression of the journey that we've been on together. And sure, I don't have one, but I had those conversations with her. I had those opportunities to see someone grow and opportunities to see, them be so happy at the finish line that it's kind of they burst into tears. So I think for me, I'm happy with that. That's for me the journey has been something that I wouldn't change, and there's kind of no medal that would kind of match all of those experiences that someone could give me. So yeah, I've always been aligned to that, and I sort of tried to stay true to that on my way through.
To hear the full interview, download the platform at the App Store. Via Platform Plus, you can go back and listen to the whole show and all of the interviews in full. Moan. I'm moaning sick all the time. Oh, it's Monday. I got to moan on. The All Blacks were average, just average. And for an All Black side, that's an insult. We aren't meant to be average. We're meant to be the best team in the world, aren't we? Always. And if we're not, we're at least second. I hate even saying the All Blacks are second. But this bunch of players, essentially the same group who've been there for the last 3 or 4 years, or even longer in some cases, continue to lose test matches that they just should never lose. Most of these guys were there in 2022 when we lost to Argentina for the first time at home. Were there when we lost that test series to Ireland at home. Were there when we lost 3 times last year, including the World Cup final, and that record points loss to South Africa at Twickenham. Several of these guys were there when we got poleaxed by England in the 2019 World Cup semi. And what? Have they improved? Have we improved? No. 2 wins versus England, 2 largely unconvincing performances, and now this? That on Saturday night looked like the All Blacks at their worst when Ian Foster was coach. So, is it still all Fozzie's fault, is it? No. And no, it never was. Is it Razor's fault? Well, he's the new coach, so I guess some of it is his fault. And the coach always does cop it. But it comes back to the players. I've been saying this forever. Are they good enough? And the truth right now is no, they're not. Most of our players, in international terms, are bang average. And that for an All Black side is as insulting as it gets. I'm not moaning about losing. Well played, Argentina. I'm moaning about how average we're looking. You can't blame anyone else for that. That is all and only all our doing.
Devlin.
I'm as mad as hell, and I'm not going to take this anymore.
The platform.
The All Blacks. Should we ever lose at home to Argentina? How big a shock was that result, given the fact that we thrashed them in the semi-final in France, and that was only last October? Was that the worst All Black performance we've seen since we lost to them in 2022 in Christchurch? Twickers was a bigger record score last year versus South Africa, but we played for 13-14 for much of that match. Can we start to question individual players? Is Damien McKenzie the right guy at first 5? Is Artie the right guy at captain? Should TJ still be playing? Is our midfield up to scratch? Why are we continually stuffing up our lineouts and our set piece? And in terms of composure at the end of a test match, well, we couldn't score any points in the last 29 minutes. Chris Jones, Times Online, rugbypass.com. I always like to go somewhere else out of New Zealand at times like this because rather than get the introspective Kiwi perspective on the All Blacks, which can be a sugar-coated thing, I just want to go somewhere else who isn't an All Black fan who can sit there dispassionately and go, this is what's wrong, this is what's wrong, this is where you haven't improved, this is where you need to improve. Chris Jones. Chris, well, a brand new All Black coach, a brand new coaching panel, new systems. We've had 4 tests to figure it all out. How much have we improved since last year?
Well, you haven't. There's a fragility in this team which is very un-All Black. You know, that lacking basics. You know, when you line out ball, you know, there are people. As far as I can see, Geordie Barrett's gone missing in action too often under this current regime. You've got a scrum half who can't clear his own 22, who also looks like he's about 84 years old, and you got out-muscled at the breakdown. But I think, Marty, what the biggest problem I saw, which set this team apart from other All Blacks teams I've watched, is that when you have a problem exiting, and they you could see what they were doing, targeting Talia, keeping him in the corner, left-footed kicker, you didn't solve the problem. The All Blacks are the best team at problem solving on the hoof, and you just didn't do it. And I find that really worrying.
What is our master plan? Can you see one?
Well, at the moment, do you remember Ray Wilkins playing for Chelsea? He used to be called the Crab because he only moved sideways. And at the moment, that's all I can see your forwards doing. Go up in a little pod, move sideways, take up some more of the pitch, move sideways till you're completely concertinaed. No one's getting over the game line. You haven't got the big, heavy ball carriers. And you're just hoping that somebody, like Talia did under the post, comes on a run that's not seen by the defence. 2-on-1, great, good choice, scores a try. But that was just like one little spark, wasn't it, of invention, of trying to beat this defence. And, come on, how many times have the All Blacks said, we don't like facing this blitz defence because look what South Africa do to us every time. Everybody's doing it now to you guys, and you're not solving it. Again, it comes back to problem solving.
Look, the rush defence since 2017 and the Lions were here has been a problem. We've had 3 separate All Black coaches, and you would have thought, as you say, that we would have figured it out by now. But once again, it just seems to be the most obvious tactic to use against us, and it keeps working.
They're not actually producing or playing to a tactical plan which is going to expose this type of defence. And we spoke a few weeks ago about the way that Ireland, yes, they lost in South Africa, but they twice against the rush defence came back against it with options, with 2 or 3 runners running inside. The defense, the guys who come across on the blitz defence, then they're not going to be as connected as the guys who are coming from outside in. And you just try and expose that sort of slight chink in the armour there, and it just isn't happening. And they've been studying this. Razor and his guys have been studying the videos for good knows how long before he puts his plan into action. And I just hope we're not going to hear this Eddie Jones sort of, I've got to get better myself. You're the head coach. You've got about 20 other coaches who are helping you. Give the guys a game plan that suits the skills you have at the moment, because I don't think it is.
Oh, are we playing the right rugby? Are we playing test match rugby, or are we still trying to play too much super rugby?
Well, I think it's a very good point you're putting there, and I do think that Razor's got to look at the way he's come into this job. And remember after the first game, he said, "Geez, this is much harder than I thought it was going to be." Yes, it is, because everything is happening at twice the speed you're used to, and when you then sort of compare what was going on in terms of how Argentina were playing against you and how you were playing against Argentina. Argentina and South Africa this weekend looked like 2 teams who knew exactly what they were doing. They have fashioned their teams to bring out the best of their individual skills. And in the Argentinian case, they've got a beautifully balanced back row, and boy, do they outmuscle you in the key to exchanges. You look at South Africa, there's a load of invention coming in. Tony Brown's added his expertise to the bonkers Rassi, and you come up with some wonderful moves to get the defence going, oh my God, what's coming next?
Rolling maul was another one. Our inability to stop that. I thought that had been fixed by Jason Ryan a couple of years ago because when we went to Africa, when he was added, it was just a real weakness for the All Blacks. But that try that Argentina scored straight after halftime off the line out, I don't know. I mean, those kind of mistakes and scoring at those kind of times is very un-All Black. Just before halftime, just after halftime, and then of course that complete shambles that happened in the 67th minute, where Ardie throws it backwards, McKenzie throws it backwards, and then they score again off that. That to me is what I'm asking about Test match rugby. Those are the most crucial things, crucial times to defend, crucial times to attack, and also you can't make those kind of mistakes when you're up by 13. We got 13 minutes left. You're up by 2 points and you're in their half.
Absolutely. When Perinero is having all those problems getting out of his 22 with his left foot kicking, why wasn't McKenzie or Barrett calling for the ball for a right foot kick from that corner? These are basic options that you should have in your team. They should be intrinsic into how you exit. And teams spend ages on exit strategies, how to get themselves out of difficult problems. This Argentinian team, like the South Africans, if you want to kick the ball to them, good luck, because, as you saw with Mateo Carreras, you give this guy half a yard, and I watched him all last season with Newcastle, he's got the most fantastic feet, and he runs like the wind. He's a pugnacious little guy, and he'll take anybody on. And, the way he stepped through for his try, there's more of that coming at Eden Park. And that record has been such a big part of the All Black psyche. Goodness knows what happens if you repeat the sort of slapdash performance at the place you're meant to always win.
To hear the full interview, download the platform at the App Store. Via Platform Plus, you can go back and listen to the whole show and all of the interviews in full. It's time, Lachlan.
We need to talk.
Your favourite game.
We need to talk.
Well, your favourite game normally is what has more chance of happening, but today your favourite game is going to be glass half full. What's your favourite game, Lachlan?
Glass half full.
Yeah, of course it is. I'm going to give you a name or a group of names, and you're going to tell me when it comes to the All Blacks versus Argentina whether it's glass half full or glass half empty.
Next!
The team overall after 4 test matches played this year.
Glass half empty.
Same.
Absolutely.
Same. I'm just, I want to be wowed out. I want to see this All Blacks side improving. I want to see a better team than what we've seen over the last 4 years. Take away that test match against Ireland last year. And obviously a very gutsy, committed effort, tenacious effort in the final down to 14 men. But also during that tournament, we got out-muscled by France. Okay? They beat us up easily in that group match. Prior to the World Cup, a record points score loss to South Africa. Have we improved at all in the last 4 test matches from what you saw last year?
No, not at all. I think you were being a little bit harsh on them last year. I think the 3 games ahead of the World Cup, aside from that South Africa one, the Rugby Championship games, we looked pretty damn good in all 3 of them. But I think if you took this All Blacks team now and you put them, and they played the All Blacks team in the knockout phase of last year's World Cup, this team right now, this team under Razor right now would get towed up, absolutely towed up.
We appear to have gone backwards, do we not? Slightly.
Which is strange, because the first 2 tests against England, there were certainly some negatives, some areas to brush up on, mainly around our set piece, our line out. But there were some really encouraging signs.
Improvement. Yeah, you'd think.
And we look worse now.
Glass half full, Damien McKenzie at 10.
I don't know. Can I just go glass full?
Yeah, glass. We'll just say glass, and you can't tell. It's so close to the line, you don't know whether it's full or empty.
I don't think that loss or any of the performances so far and the negative sides of them are his fault. We're very quick to blame the first 5, and rightfully so. But apart from his kicking game, which has not been great, but neither is Geordie Barrett's or Beauden Barrett's, he hasn't wowed me, though.
Jury's still out on him.
Yeah.
The concerns I always had with Damien McKenzie were, is he able to control a test match? Is he able to control pressure situations in a test match? Can he guide us home to wins in test matches? And yes, against England twice. He was on the field for those last 10 minutes. But it's that helter-skelter, frenetic, Super Rugby approach to his game that has got to be gone when it comes to test match. There are aspects of it. Look, that chip and chase was absolutely brilliant, right? That is McKenzie at his best. And you don't want to limit that. But with 13 minutes to go, he's got to be able to be the guy that controls that test win when we are up by 2 points.
Well,
and that pass from Artie was a shocker. The pass from him was as bad, if not worse.
No, it wasn't as bad. Artie's pass went to no one. Damien McKenzie's pass at least went in the direction to Beauden and Geordie, who just stood there and didn't. Neither of them actually went for the pass, so it was a poor pass.
Okay, glass. Yes. We're going glass half empty and full. It's right in the middle.
We're just right.
Glass half full and Artie is captain.
Glass half empty. Absolutely. We lost a test at home to a side we shouldn't be losing to, and he was the captain. So how can you be a glass? Simple as that. Yeah.
That's what it's defined by.
Next.
Glass half full, TJ at halfback.
Glass half empty.
Same. I think, look, his time has come. I think he's too slow.
Which is funny, because so many people were singing his praises during Super Rugby thinking, he's back, TJ's back.
He was getting slow in 2022.
Well, you see, I know. I haven't bought into the hype too much, because he's sure, anyone in any sport can have a couple of months where they look like their younger selves, if they train really well, they perform really well, but it's a case of being able to keep that going for months on end. And you can't do that at his age with his injury history.
I just think
and it's nothing against TJ.
No,
He's
not
just
at all.
getting
And
old.
it's nothing against any of these names that I'm throwing at you. It's just simply, are you able to perform at your peak on the highest stage, and is it going to be good enough to win All Blacks Test matches? That's all I'm asking here. And at the moment, I just think with him, we're so used to Aaron Smith and the pace that he operated at, and the ability to turn his passing pace into opportunities for his outsides, and TJ's not that guy.
Next!
Our centre pairing, our midfield, glass half full,
I'm glass half full about this because I think it's that, along with Sam Derry, is the one point of that All Black performance that was mildly encouraging. Was that Anton Leonard-Brown played quite well.
Yeah, a couple of great breaks from him.
And Geordie was quiet, but I don't think he did anything wrong. And I think with Geordie in the midfield, I think people are expecting him to be flashy and exciting. It's a different... Playing a 12, particularly when you've got a 13, that's probably going to take advantage of the space a bit more. It's not a flashy position. It's like open side flank. It's not
I'm
flashy.
glass half full.
Next!
Glass half full, Argentina and their performance.
Glass half full.
Glass half full.
Absolutely.
Congratulations, Argentina. Yeah. You came here and you beat us up. You put 38 points on, scored 4 tries. We didn't even get a bonus. I don't care about bonus, but we didn't even get a bonus point.
Did we score 4 tries?
No.
They deserved the win. They were far better than us, but they weren't perfect.
No,
Argentina.
absolutely not. That's the worst thing about that's why I give us a D.
The penalty count was terrible. They gave away 6 in the first 11 minutes, and they gave away 9 in the first 26 minutes.
What was the half-time score?
20 to 15.
20 to 15 after we get a penalty count of about 11-1 in our favour.
Yeah.
Well, what the hell were we doing with the ball?
Well, by half-time, they're giving away 10. That's, for me, the most concerning thing is they gave us possession. They were committing fouls, essentially, and giving us the ball 10 separate occasions, and yet our lead at half-time was only 5 points.
Next!
What?
The Warriors, another loss, and another close loss. And when you look through the results this year, there's been way too many of these. Yeah, there's been a couple of shocking performances, but there has been so many games where it's so frustrating, where you think, look, the difference is 1 or 2 points, 1 or 2 kicks. And again, it came down against the Dolphins, one of those ding-dong kind of games. The Warriors were well out of it at 20-8 down, but roared back, showing lots of courage and fight and guts. And 32 all goes to Golden Point. Our guy has a clean look from 30-something metres, skews it right. And then a guy called Sean O'Sullivan. Who? Oh, he belts it over from 40 metres. This has happened 3 times in the last 5 games. A 13-12 loss to the Bulldogs, a 20-18 loss to the Raiders, a 34-32 loss to the Dolphins. And in the end, it's come down to not having somebody on the field who is a gun goal kicker or able to kick field goals. Why is this problem not being addressed? Is it the only problem not being addressed? Where to now for the Warriors? Because this season, sadly, is looking like a hell of a lot of others. A team that makes the finals once every 5 or 6 years and then just 13th, 14th, 15th, 16th, deep in the doldrums in the in-between years. What has really changed? 16 wins last year, 8 so far this. That's what's changed. Tony Kemp. As always, we start with 6 again. 6 questions. All about the Warriors. Is it the official end of the season, Tony?
Yeah, I think so, Marty. I think it's too hard from here.
How many wins will they finish with? They've got 8 out of 21. How many more are you expecting or hoping for?
Possibly 1, maybe 2.
At 36 all, at 32 all, at 26 all, should the Warriors have gone on and won that game yesterday?
Well, again, should have won it a lot earlier than the 80th minute.
Chanel Harris-Tavita's kicking. Is it good enough for first grade?
No.
Is the Fox Sport presentation team and their presenters superior to what Sky TV offer? Because we didn't have Sky TV's lot yesterday. We had the Fox Sport guys and I enjoyed them.
100%.
On a scale of 1 to 10, and 10 being ragingly successful, 1 being bitterly disappointing, where do the Warriors rate 1 to 10?
4.
Up the Waz.
How good is that?
Tone, these are the last 8 games. Lost to the Storm, thrashed by the Titans, beat the Broncos, lost to the Bulldogs 13-12, had a bye, lost to the Raiders 2018, beat the Tigers, lost to the Eels 30-20, scoreline was flattering, lost to the Dolphins 34-32. So that's 6 out of the last 8. Again, though, is it a what might have been? Because several of those scorelines were really close.
Well, I've been dwelling on that question all day. So, well, for weeks, Marty, when you talk about it, like, if you go right back to last year, this time last year, they couldn't lose a game. And they're meant to be building the momentum coming out that loss to the Broncos up in Brisbane last year in the minor semi-final, with every chance to be back in the 4 and battling this time of year for the competition. And when you think about it as it might have been year and some close scores, I think the competition was set up for a team to really bounce out of the gates this year, hence Melbourne and Penrith doing that. And for a team like Canterbury that was trying to build something to go on and do that. And if you're really considering the Warriors, you've got to be disappointed. You've got to be disappointed. You go into State of Origin, you're talking about how many will they get into the Origin side, including Hooker. And then, Johnson being, the player that he came out of last year to build on that momentum. And what's been really interesting is that there's been no real conversation about where they're sitting on the table. And they're actually sitting in 14th for four games to go. One of them's a bye. And everyone's talking about, well, how great it is to pack the stadium out. What we should be really talking about is we're losing Fanua Blake. Yes, we're gaining Fisher. But have we got the side next year? Because the front row ain't going to win you a competition, especially an aging front row, to go out there and compete in this competition. It seems to get better and better every year. And that, for me, is really the question. Can we or do we have the stock to go out there and compete next year?
Let's look at the halves, and for a number of weeks, we're pushing for TMM and CHT to be 6 and 7. Tamale Martin is approaching 30 now. Chanel Harris-Tavita took last year off. He comes back. When you're getting to that age and you've had that much experience, are these two guys really two guys who can combine at 6 and 7 and win a team a premiership? Or if you're in Andrew Webster's shoes, do you have to sit there now and go, okay, what do I do? Do I hang with these guys for another year where they do produce the odd great performance, we get a win? Or do I really take a punt and put Luke Metcalf and Jet Cleary in there? Or do I spend all this budget that I'm going to have with Sean Johnson retiring and so forth and actually try and entice another number 7 in from Australia? Because is this still the most crucial aspect of the Warriors squad, of getting those two playmakers right?
Well, 100%. I think if you're looking at the competition, if you look at the Roosters, the Storm and Penrith, arguably they're the 3 best halfbacks in the competition. If you put Manly in that mix, we got Bailey Cherry Evans, who's the skipper of the Kangaroo side too, doesn't he, off and on with the Queensland side. So you have to say that going into 2025 that your eggs would have to be thrown into one basket, and you'd have to have a punt on getting a dedicated number 7 to lead your side around. Jet Cleary, he's too young. Okay, so he's not going to. He may develop into his brother, but that's a tall ask. Luke Metcalf, look, he's a good player, but he's coming back from an injury, and you would have thought that on the weekend he's already played in the New South Wales side that he might have got a punt because it was such a crucial game. But can they go on next year, Marty, with CHT and tomorrow night and win your comp? The simple answer there is no. They can't. They need to get into the market, and they need to get themselves a top-notch number 7. The only problem, as we've said for years, they're not producing them anymore, Marty. So there's not enough of them to go around.
The Tight 5.
5 separate sporting topics, roughly a minute or so on each. When the bell reminds us, bang, we go on to the next topic as pretty damn quickly as possibly could. When did Sean Johnson get that injury, Lachlan? He was named to play on Tuesday. When did he pick up that injury? Why couldn't he play on the weekend? The Warriors, what might have been. Down 20-6, clawed it back to 32 all, unable to ice another game. And this is now a pattern, and it must be addressed. Have the All Blacks gotten worse? We've already talked about them for an hour. I just want to know, have we gotten worse? Have we gone backwards this year? Medal tally, 10 gold, 7 silver, 3 bronze. If you can't enjoy that, New Zealand, I don't know. You can't enjoy life. I mean, we spent a lot of time talking about the bloody All Blacks and the bloody All Blacks lost and the bloody All Blacks and bloody All Blacks. Let's just celebrate that for a starter, shall we? Ray Gunn, no, I just, as I said, look, Do you want to talk about Ray Gunn? We watched a little documentary piece on her this morning. She's actually a lawyer. She's
got a PhD.
She's got a PhD.
She's a doctor.
Well, no, she's not a doctor. People who've got a PhD aren't doctors.
Okay, she's got a doctorate.
Doctors fix people in Shortland Street. Those are doctors. She's got a doctorate. Which means she's gone to university for a long time.
She's smarter than you and I.
Okay. I tell you what, I think I can break dance as bad as she can, though.
The thing is, you'd probably score more points because you're expected to be bad and weird and goofy, and they'd probably give you points for that.
Well, that's the thing. I mean, while I was watching, I was thinking, is this a piss take? Is this really your routine? And what is more chance of happening? The Broncos or the Warriors make the top 8. Let's talk about our medal tally, though. How damn proud are you as a New Zealander? Does it do that to you, Lachlan? This is what I want to know. We're going to be talking to a guy who's got a doctorate in this tomorrow, who's written his thesis on what the Olympic Games does to a nation in terms of national pride, feel-good factor, all of that kind of stuff. Normally what happens at times like this is every politician under a rock comes crawling out and they just shaking hands and they got the flag around in the arms, and all of a sudden you've got Grant Robertson there and he's saying, congratulations, Lisa.
Go the Highlanders.
Yeah, wrong sport, Grant. But hey, we know what you're getting at.
Go Lisa Carrington in the rowing.
Yeah, no, Grant. No, it's the canoe, the kayak. Yeah, well done on the high jump, Lisa. No, that's not. That's Hamish Kerr. It's a guy. But I'm just in love with all of our athletes, and even those who have failed at this. Look, as I said last week, the football ferns got there because they qualified to get there. If you get to the Olympic Games as an athlete, that means you've made the qualifying mark, therefore you deserve to be there. Anyone wearing a silver fern, I love at these games. Anyone who comes away with a medal, I love even more. And I just hope that we remember the 7 silvers and the 3 bronzes, because some of those were extraordinary. Those efforts to get that, including Hayden Wild, right? And you sit there and go, it's going to get lost in the 10 golds, Lachlan. 10.
I know.
8 women. 8 of those golds from women.
Yeah, I know.
Go girl power.
Our track cyclists who got the, I think we got a silver team pursuit, and Ellie Williston who got a bronze. There's ones who get forgotten. It's incredible, but it's funny because I don't know why. I can't really give you a proper reason, but I just didn't expect us to perform that well. I'm not going to act like I know every single sport. I'm an expert in everything. Oh, rowing, I know how the different sized oars and whatnot. You're as much of an expert in breakdancing as Ray Gunn is. Yeah. But I just felt I'd be stoked with 13 or 14 medals in total. 5 of them gold, I'm happy. I just had lower expectations. And I think, we get all swept up in the whole... Took New Zealand about a week to get our first medal, and everyone loses their mind thinking, oh gosh, we're rubbish. And then we just get a slew of them. They all come. No, it's incredible. It's wonderful. There's particularly the individual athletes, the cyclists, these track and field athletes as well. They are people who travel around the world, compete in all these comps, all these meets on their own. They're lonely. It's a lonely business. They don't get paid much. They put in so much effort and work for something they get very little reward out of. And to see them get the golds, or the silvers and the bronzes, or just actually getting to the Olympics is incredible.
Do you have a fave?
Fave medal?
Yeah.
Oh gosh, probably Hamish Kerr.
Same.
Probably, because we've had him on the show a lot. And I feel like I've been part of his journey.
Yeah. I feel like I know him a little bit, even though we've never met.
I personally really like rowing, so I enjoy the rowing ones. So when we succeed in those, I get excited.
And I'm gutted for Amy Fisher, because I just feel like, wow, I so wanted her to get a medal, or so wanted her to win that gold, and she'll be feeling it today, tomorrow, next week, until the next one rolls around.
3-4 years.
What is more chance of happening? Broncos or the Warriors make the 8?
Come on. You know what the answer is.
The answer is neither are making the 8.
Well, no, I agree with that. Neither are making the 8.
The
worst thing about the Broncos winning on Saturday is that it's given me...
It's given you hope.
The hint of hope.
Yes.
But then I sit myself back down and realise, no, we're not making the 8.
Hope is the greatest thing in sport.
Last 3 games.
Hope is just the best, isn't it?
It's so poisonous.
Hope makes you all of a sudden look at the points table again. You've started to look at the fixture list.
You've
got, if they play them and we play them, we've got to buy.
If these 4 teams lose by 20 points this weekend...
And that all happens, and then...
We're
not making the 8.
But there's more chance we make the 8 than the Warriors.
Have the All Blacks gotten worse?
Since when?
Since last year.
Yes.
Yeah, well, there's no question we have. We didn't lose to Argentina last year. We beat them 44-6. Yeah. And they were lucky to get 6.
Yeah.
And this time they scored 4 tries and 38 points. And they beat us in the last 10 minutes, and we didn't score in the last half an hour. We've got worse.
That's the worst point. Damien McKenzie kicked a penalty in the 52nd minute. We didn't score a single point after that. Somehow we're worse.
Should we add more coaches to the coaching? Yes,
yeah, bring in 4 more.
Well, maybe
yes. Remember how we kind of had a bit of a crack at Corey Flynn, and there was I think it was David Hill being brought on as skills coaches, and we're like, aren't you skilled to get into the All Blacks? Maybe we do need them.
Yeah, maybe we do.
Just the basics we're not getting right.
Warriors, what might have been.
No, not what might have been. Don't say that. Man. It's a 24-game season.
If we'd won that one and we'd lost that one, and Lachlan, if we'd only just had a red calls in this one and the forward pass and this one.
This isn't the NFL where you play 17 games
wasn't injured in that
you
one.
might have been missing your quarterback for the first 5.
Was missing in the
and you missed out on the playoffs by a game.
Hey, but we've sold out the stadiums. We're opening a bar. We've got heritage jerseys and the social media's taken off.
Yeah, have you seen our new jerseys?
Yes. The Warriors have got to decide what they want to be. Are you a promotion marketing company or are you a professional league side? Because if you're a professional league side, then get 5 or 6 guys on the field that can
clean out the roster.
Well, that can kick goddamn goals. Bulldogs, Raiders, and now Dolphins. That's 3 wins in the last 5 or 6 games that all could have been won if somebody had some kicking boots on. Just a conversion here, a field goal there. And instead of 8, 1 and 12, it would be 11, 1 and 9.
And you'd be sitting inside the top 8
That is significant.
Right now.
And it's not as though, we didn't know about this. You've known about it since the Bulldogs result. Getting somebody that can kick a field goal. And last night we saw it again. Harris Tavita. He's not responsible for the loss, but ultimately it comes down to a clutch player winning the game. They had one. Sean O'Sullivan.
But he doesn't even start for them.
He banged it from 40 metres, mate.
Sean O'Sullivan is a nobody. Well, he's not a nobody. That's a bit rude.
He's not
but
now.
He's not a great player. He's not a Nathan Cleary.
Look, I'll argue this to the end of time. Why can't every single member of that back line learn how to kick a field goal? It's just repetitive practice is all it is. Oh, it's not my job. Well, I tell you what, it's not my job. It's not my job to go and find another fridge in the kitchen when our one crapped out like it did last week. It's not my job, right? But who's going to go and do it? What, the mysterious man who doesn't work in this office? Wellington, we call down to them and get them to do it, do we? It comes down to personal responsibility and your commitment to the team.
It does, but it's that mixed in with Andrew Webster, the coach, telling his halves, as well as probably a centre or a fullback, saying, I need 2 to 3 guys who, if we're late in the game and we need a field goal, you can kick it.
You can kick it.
And
left or right side of the ruck.
More often than not,
it's going to happen.
Well, no, but more often than not, it's a first receiver. It's a half. It's a halfback or a 5'8". So it needs to be those 2 guys.
But there's 3 games now out of the last 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 where a kicker would have won us that game.
Yeah.
That's it. And what? It still doesn't count. It still doesn't mean anything. Still isn't important enough to address. Well, that's the reason, Warriors, why you've won 8 games this year out of 21. That's our podcast for today. Thank you so much for listening. If you want to listen to the entire show, 1 till 4, Monday to Friday, download the Platform app. And via Platform Plus, you can go back and listen to whatever shows over however many weeks at your leisure, at your listening pleasure. Platform Plus. First thing to do, though, is download the Platform app.
Devlin.
Unbelievable. Incredible.
The Platform.